HustleNepal presents Bolna, Choda, Garna, Thala. It's a series where we bring to you entrepreneurs in a way that brings value to you guys. And today, as you can probably see, we have Sushant Pradhan with us. He is an entrepreneur, brand ambassador of didnt Nepal, founder of the Physique Workshop. He's also a fitness vlogger, a certified fitness coach, and a foodie. So, shall we begin?
Yeah, definitely. Hey, glad to be on the show, guys.
Glad to have you here as well. So, I want to start with why and how did you start building your personal brand and your business?
So, I'll probably speak in English if I'll do myself, right? So, what was the question again?
Why and how did you start building your personal brand and your business? Like, how did you know that, okay, I want to build a business, I'm going to do this? Like, what was your motivation and how did you get to that point?
Okay, so as for the business, it was purely out of passion, you know. I started like 4 years back, fitness ma, and there wasn't such a thing as making it in the fitness industry, right? I wanted to be a bodybuilder. That was my intention back then, but there was no scope for it. But I felt like I want to do something closer for the rest of my life. Either I could do that or utilize my degree, which was in IT as a programmer, which I was not interested in. So I said, like, this is like my one chance. I shouldn't, let it go. So what if? And a question, it haunts you. That's what they say. So I wanted to see how it goes. So I got into fitness, took up internships for almost a year. And more than knowing how to train people, I was more interested towards management and the finance and all those kind of stuff, because in my family, there's no one who has literally done business ever, right? So I wanted to learn all those things, and that's how I got interested into fitness. And bachelor's on the last semester, I started the gym because I felt like bachelor's it would waste a lot of time. So I started working on my gym project as well, and that's how I basically started. But with the branding and things like that, personal branding, it was kind of like an accident at first, because this is what happened. It's a weird story. So I knew I was like a great coach, but I was failing in the business. For 7 straight months I was on loss, and that was like, I was like really frustrated and things like that. And what happened was, one day someone accidentally uploaded, it wasn't accidental, but coincidentally someone uploaded a video, fitness ko tips over there, and I felt like those were outdated information. So my original intention was, rather than criticizing someone on the comment section, because that's trending right now on YouTube, I felt like I should spread my own knowledge. So the very next day I took up a camera, did my very first video, said I was going to start up with a video fitness series and things like that, blah blah. So that was the pure intention of it. It wasn't like, it didn't come from a business point of view. Up until that point, I didn't know that I was an entrepreneur. I didn't know that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I just did what I felt natural, right? So that's how I started the first video, and eventually the other turning point for me was watching, at my lowest, I watched Jobs on a movie app there featuring Ashton Kutcher, right? So I watched that, and I'm not an Apple fan, and the movie this was the first time I realized, like, Steve Jobs wasn't the main guy for Apple. He was like the front guy, the visionary guy, but he wasn't the engineer who made the actual product, right? So I realized that I'm someone who has the skills, I'm someone who has the product service, right? But I'm not the marketing guy. I'm not marketing myself. I'm not marketing the gym. So either I should turn into that guy or find someone who can market it for me. And since I didn't have money, I felt like I should be that guy. I should market myself, and that's basically how it started. Kind of like that.
Very interesting story. So, in my opinion, building a good physique and a good business is somehow like the motivation, the discipline needed is kind of related. So in your opinion, what are the parallels between building a good physique and a good business?
Well, the first thing is discipline. It teaches you discipline, right? I've been doing this thing for like 8 years. I've been working out day in, day out for 8 years, and it teaches you discipline. you know, lot of people they look for that short-term results. Every action they want immediate results. And what bodybuilding teaches is you don't get results. That 1 month ab, 2 weeks 1 inch arms, it doesn't happen. It takes years and years, and you see small progresses, and you just have to trust the progress. You just have to trust the process actually, and then just give it all you got, and just believe in the process, believe in yourself, and do it day in and day out. Like brushing your teeth, you don't have to think about brushing the teeth. Is it going to, make your teeth shinier after one brush? Of course not, but you do it anyway. So that's what bodybuilding taught me. The other thing was, what it actually taught me was actually believing in things, actually believing that things will happen. And at first it's so damn big. How do you get from point A to point B? And it's just a long, tall mountain to climb. But it's just bodybuilding teaches you that eventually you'll get there, right? Just put in the work. Eventually get there. Have no excuses whatsoever. So I think those two were the basic foundation of how I was able to build a business.
Discipline, persistence, and hard work.
Yeah, exactly.
So in regards to your entrepreneurial journey, what is the most important day for you, if you have to think of anyone?
I would say the movie Jobs. That was like an eye opener. Yeah, for me that was like the eye opener. If I hadn't watched that movie, I probably wouldn't have thought about marketing myself and building a brand, building a personal brand, and all these things.
So have you faced, listeners the question, you've obviously faced some setbacks. How did you tackle them?
This is a tough one. Of course, because like everybody faces these problems, but then just to pinpoint at one, it's just not possible. But
in general?
Yeah, in general, what I do is I believe in the long-term process. Project like I'm involved in a couple of projects, but project I think about the long term, right? 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line, 15 years down the line. I want to be able to enjoy life, let everything being handled on its own, automations and things like that. So I think about the long-term process. 15 years down the line, how is this thing gonna impact the industry? How is this thing gonna impact my personal life? How is this thing gonna impact people's personal lives? Because that's what a business is, like finding problem and solving it. So so that's how I think of it. And every day there are some shitty days, there are some good days, and then you have to understand, people life there are more good days than bad days. And they get so caught up in the bad days that they forget about the good days. So what you have to understand is like this is just a short-term setback. Push through, doing the best you can. What else can you do? So giving it all you can. So that's what I believe in.
So let's get to social media.
Okay.
You've been on every major media outlet, magazines and all that. How did you get there? And for a small business, what are your advice for them to get there as well?
Social media is the thing. If you haven't realized that till now, I mean, like you're really lagging far behind. But social media is the thing, and you have to invest in it. Marketing is just such an important task. People don't realize that. I mean, people would build a product, build a service, khatra banos again. And I've been to programs where people bring out products, especially in tech-oriented industry, khatra games or khatra apps or but then there's no one from the marketing background in the team, and that's where they lose. I know khatra products are but they don't market it. So you have to invest time in marketing yourself, and social media is the way to go. And because it's accessible, cheap, and hard work, anybody can do the research, anybody can unlock that. So how I got into it was like again, I made this video recently about working for free, okay? And people have this bad notion ki free ma kaam garnu hundaina, for every single minute you work you have to cash in on that one, okay? And that's again it's the it's a micro result oriented book. Action reaction. Some things take time to build and give longer, bigger returns in the long run, and such is like working. So initially I reached out to all the magazines, Wave being one of them, and a couple of other. I reached out to every magazine. So their fitness section in magazines. So I offered them that I would write an article for everyone. I sent like 5 or 6 articles to 5 or 6 different magazines, and pretty much every one of them published, except Wave called me and they asked me like, do you want to run a fitness section? And that's how I got started. So started with Wave, wrote for like more than a year, so moved on to a couple of other magazines, climbed up from there. The videos started coming up, and then the vlog was there. No one was doing. And see, this is another thing. Like a lot of people get so but if you do it, if you do it, you'll get noticed really quick. And I think that's the only reason I was able to get in all the magazines and everything. So basically, that's how I got started. Offering for free, and it's basically that's how it cashes in. So to be very honest, I do a lot of seminars. I speak a lot. I write a lot, but I never charge for any of it. Like not a single rupees. I saw a couple of people asking you on social media, but how do you earn money and things like that. So it's not the direct money that counts. I was able to build this big business based on that, okay? And that's how we leverage and capitalize on it. I've been doing that up until now, 0 charges. More people are open towards you, right? Charge maybe some wouldn't want you. So that's how I basically market myself.
So take initiative.
Yeah.
Put yourself out there.
Exactly. Offer.
To what extent do you believe that social media has helped you reach where you are right now?
90%. 90% marketing myself, 90% social media. But if I was a shitty trainer, I didn't know my skills, I had like really bad skills, social media is not magical. It's not going to get you anywhere. You have to have the thing that you're offering. You have to improve on it first, and then social media is always there to market.
So okay, talking about social media, what are your thoughts on follower quality versus quantity?
Oh, I'm always about the quality. Quantity for me doesn't mean shit. Not to offend anyone, but people have tens and thousands of followers, and they don't know how to leverage that. And it's so important. Like for an entrepreneur, right? Let's forget about Orukura. For an entrepreneur, you're marketing yourself, your product, your brand, whatever it is, right? So quantity might not mean as valuable as much as quality is. You want actual people who want to buy your product or your services. Doesn't matter like people are there as spectators. Of course, goodwill create. That's the best thing. People don't necessarily need to pay you and buy your product or services. If they are there for goodwill, if they are there to spread your brand, that's the best thing that can ever happen. But having said all that, quality is all that matters.
So what is your advice for businesses that are on the edge when it comes to putting themselves out there in social media?
As in?
Someone who thinks that they should build a Facebook page, but they're not really sure whether I should not. Like social media is a waste of time. Like there still are businesses who think that way.
Yeah.
So what is your message to them?
My message is just give it a try. Social media page build it is a waste of time. As it is going to use up your time. Now, is it going to be a good waste of time or bad waste of time? You will really not find out if you don't try it at all. So whether you should be able to put in the time or hire someone who can put in the time for yourself. But in this day and age, if you are not on social, it's really tough. Especially for small brands, especially for people who are trying to build it from the scratch.
Okay, so let's get into business.
Okay.
How did you scale your business, and when did you realize, okay, it's time to get big?
Okay, as of right now, scaling, I don't think that I have scaled as much, but there's this thing. Okay, it's a strange story. The Physique Workshop party, we started this in 2013, right? So 4 years back when we started doing it. And it wasn't until the next 3 years that I opened another branch, extended into another one. Now I have plans of expanding this business even further. But 3 years kina lagyo bhanepachi, one thing that was like a legit reason was that I wanted to make sure that my products and services were in place and I could actually scale. You know, a lot of businesses start failing when they scale from one to multiple. Second outlet खोल्ने बित्तिकै हल्का expand गर्ने बित्तिकै the first expansion may you will know whether your business model is a success or a failure भनेर. And that was scary to me and I took a lot of time building that, making it solid. तर त्यो भन्दा पनि biggest reason why I didn't scale was I was so comfortable in this. I mean, like I was young, like 24, 25 years old, and then I was making money more than a lot of older people. So I was so comfortable with this lifestyle, and then putting all that money into one big chunk it's a risk. So it wasn't until I realized that if I don't take risk, I will get stuck here for like forever.
People get complacent.
Yeah, exactly. So त्यो realization भएपछि मात्र अगाडि scale गरेँ मैले. But to being in that comfortable place, it's so addictive, and that's what keeps a lot of people stuck.
For anyone trying to start a business in this field, fitness industry, what are your suggestions?
First thing would be now, like a lot of people who see me and actually starting to get noticed. What they think they should do is market themselves, and yes, that's true. But what they don't understand, I am also a really good coach, right? And that quality and that skill is so much important. You need to build that first before you market yourself. I mean, like you can talk shit about how great you are or your services, but if you cannot back it up, I mean, it's all useless. So first thing is develop skills. Fitness ma matra nabhara, any area, develop skills. Help people for free without asking, and then I mean that's the start of it, and it's like snowballing, right? It'll turn bigger.
Where do you want to go with this long term, and what are your plans for the next few years?
As of right now, I'm involved in two other projects that I'm trying to build. Both are fitness companies now. So for a good couple of years, 2-3 years, I'll be involved in those. But apart from that, I do want to get out of the fitness bubble as well and try new things, because there's one thing, it's so safe and it'll give you return, but it's not as exciting after a while, right? And doing something, I'm kind of person who tries everything. Before I got into fitness, there are so many things that I have tried. A lot of people don't know. I used to be a musician, and I used to be a tattoo artist, and I was involved in a lot of things, and fitness was something that I stuck to. But those two variations, it's so important. Who knows, something that you've never tried might bring you a bigger fortune. So
you gotta experiment.
Yeah, exactly, experiment.
Before I get into book recommendations, how do you feel about reading books?
Oh, this is a strong one. I mean, like, you gotta read books once, but then I'm the kind of person who will also say don't read books once. So books about YouTube, all these things, it's so easy to get information, but books are books, right? It like makes you think, makes you wonder, makes you imagine. So books, it's so important. I spend a lot of times reading audiobooks, and then I watch a lot of videos, but then I make sure I collect people. So reading books, it's so important, right? But then again, this generation is full of people who just read books. And then they don't do shit. Watching Gary Vaynerchuk and then hustle and do things, and like they do all these things, but then at the end of the day, they're just watching and getting inspired. And inspiration without action, it's nothing.
Very true. So book recommendations.
This is like cliche, but Rich Dad Poor Dad. It's, I think, one of the classics for social media, and it's by Gary Vaynerchuk. For leadership and team building, I would recommend Simon Sinek, Jim Collins, and anything in general that you don't read books just to find the answers matra, okay? Anything that inspires you, it's just as good.
So let's get to questions that I was asked on Instagrams.
Okay.
So someone asked me, I want to start a business, but I'm facing problems finding the perfect location. Let's just talk about you. How did you know that you want to put your gym in here?
Oh, okay. So I searched for a couple of locations, right? I get the question properly because I'm trying to build other business that requires perfect locations as well, and it's so tough. I would say it's an excuse until unless you have scanned every single street, every single house, so you gotta do that. It's hard work. It's not impossible, it's just hard work, and it can be really hard work. So talking to a couple of realtors and things like that, that's the first instinct. But then you walk down the street, look for some places, ask people to let sign know about how many guys and don't leave any stones unturned. But location, it's so important just like any business ko lagi, if it's especially service or product oriented, location is important part. And the main reason why I chose this location was I had a couple of locations that I really wanted to get options also. But when I came into this was like the first time I used gym go space. This was like the first time I ever came into Kumari Party. So you building I came here for the first time. I looked around, went home, and my thought process was commercial area, but front lane na, but pasari sabai residential. It's a good kind of residence. And Kathmandu ma that kind of gyms or ekdamai dherai apartment ma khasai thiena ke. So those two reasons le garma matra हुन्छ.
Okay, this is a very general question. What does it take to run a business? Your experience.
Believe in yourself, hard work, and being smart, I would say. Those three things.
Okay. So, this is a very interesting one. What do you do if you're ahead of the curve and the market isn't ready yet?
This is one of the questions that I get asked a lot, and I think about it a lot as well. And what I think is a lot of times, everything is organic question. I can answer everything with one answer. That is immediate action to result. A lot of times it's investing. You're investing time. Let's say something takes fitness industry massively crazy. It'll take probably 4-5 years. Online industry probably take 4-5 years, if not more, right? But if you're not the first one to do it, let's say 5 years I'll start it in year 400. Someone will come in year 3rd. And then they'll start building a brand, and they will be ahead of you. So it's always very important to invest and actually be ahead and build a brand. So take those years as a buffer just to establish yourself as an authority in the industry, and just invest time in building a brand. And that's what I say.
So it's a good thing.
Yeah, it is a good thing. It is actually a really good thing.
I think you can relate to this. How do you control a multi-chain business which you're not being around all the time?
So this for me is really tricky. I didn't have the answers for it as well. It's just not possible. You can travel and look after it, right? But once it grows really huge, you cannot control it directly. So that is why any organization, you need to have structure. Physique Workshop problem it didn't have structure. I was doing and chain of commands and chain of commands mistakenly wrongly so it's like ordering someone to do it. No, it's not. I think people enjoy being flexible and doing things on their own, right? Once you give them that accountability, responsibility, empowering people. So that's what people love as well. So you need to have that structure. This is what I do. This is what I do. I have admins and trainers. I have operational managers, and then there's me. It's always me giving them the responsibilities and they giving them the responsibilities. And people are empowered, like you said, and they want to do even more actually. So एकदम critical situation नभएछ म कहिले पनि directly तल गर्दै I don't handle that. It's not because I think I'm superior, but it's just that people like doing things on their own.
So you gotta have a structure that supports.
Exactly, the growth, yeah.
How do you find your passion?
Finding a passion, man, this is tough. I'm lucky to have found my passion, but I think like the only reason I found my passion was because I tried a lot of things. I know. I was into music, like I said. I was into making tattoos as a tattoo artist. So music mein matra adkera basirako bhai, I probably wouldn't have found this. Tattoo matra banana basirako bhai, I probably wouldn't have found this. I could cash in on making the tattoos. I could earn well, but would I have been earning more than that I'm earning right now? Probably not. So my advice to a lot of people is don't rush. But having been said that, try a lot of things. Don't get attached to one thing. And a lot of people, they get attached to things like Gary Levins. People get romantically attached to the idea of what they are or not. Okay, so they like, people want to be something and they make themselves believe that they are that one, instead of actually seeing what are you interested in, right? So you have to explore yourself, experiment, try new things, and you'll definitely find your passion sooner or later.
So you got to be flexible about your perception.
Exactly.
This is a very specific question. I want to start a pharmacy. How do I begin? How shall I handle business and finance and stuff?
Okay, so right off the bat, I'm going to tell you that this is not my expertise, right? But having been said that,
speak in general.
Yeah, in general.
Someone wants to start a business. How do they handle business and the finance aspect?
Find an expert in that field. This would be like, do your research first of all, right? What is the business about? Read stuff and like do your research. After that, find someone local who is an expert in the field and like do things for them for free, right? I'm pretty sure सबैजनाले के न के चाहिरहेको हुन्छ के, like fitness example, I know I need people around me, people who can do my social media, people who can film for me, people who can help me in certain things, like maybe finance. So what is your expertise, what is your skill? Help with that to the person you want to learn from, right? Offer them services, and then eventually I think that's how you build businesses. I mean, that's one way to do it. There are other ways of doing it. This is one way to do it.
So you're saying that you gotta barter.
Yeah, exactly.
You gotta leverage the value that you can bring.
Yeah, exactly.
And pull the value that you can, like, others can give you.
True.
Okay, so what is the first thing that you keep in mind when it comes to making investments of any kind?
First thing is, I'm not sure, I cannot say this in terms of what everybody wants. Me personally, I invest in people rather than businesses, right? It's basically, it can be all business, but if I cannot trust the person behind the business, that person is going to work hard, that person knows the stuff, that person is honest, it doesn't make sense for me to invest in that business, right? So it's a person first. And in terms of business, it's more about scalability. That's another thing, and the impact it's doing. For me, earning money isn't everything. Just to at this point, I mean, like, I'm not gonna be all godlike and say that money doesn't matter. Money matters, but I would be more than happy to invest in something that does an impact to other people, to the society, in the industry, whatever it is. And so scalability, the person, impact, and basically the returns, of course.
So basically you believe that money is a byproduct of impacting people.
Exactly. I think that's what, like, businesses or khatra build gareko cha, and the name of businessmen that we have heard of, sabjana believe ne tyahi ho jasto लाग्छ.
So that brings us to the end of our interview. I want to thank Sushant Pradhan for being here. Giving us his precious time.
Thank you so much. This is like the first interview, I guess.
This is the first interview.
So I'm glad to be part of it. Thank you so much. That was awesome.
that brings us to the end of the video. Apologies for any imperfections as this was our first interview, but hope you guys found it to be of value. If you did, be sure to like, share, subscribe, and do comment what else you want to see from us. You can also find us on Facebook and Instagram. Link will be somewhere in the video. Keep hustling.